Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Crickets to Cha-Ching's podcast. I'm Julie Berninger from Gold City Ventures, and I have a special episode here with Etsy seller Stephanie. Welcome, and please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie. My Etsy shop is Busy Mama Bee Design Co. I'm out from Phoenix, Arizona. I have one little 4-year-old tornado that's usually running around my house. We are also a foster family, so we'll be bringing in a new foster baby soon. And my niche is time management for mompreneurs.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited. I also have a 4-year-old tornado too, so I can definitely
You know the feeling.
relate. There's quite a lot happening there. The playroom, I feel like I clean it, and then next thing you know, I go through and I'm like, what is going on? You step on toys. It's just,
We had a
chaos here.
birthday party Saturday, so it's everywhere.
Things are everywhere. Yep, exactly. I can just live through the chaos and then I like freak out. I'm like, no, it's gotta get cleaned. But anyways, okay, so with your niche, the time and productivity for moms, I'm super excited because you're an example of someone that started in the printables niche. I think, did you start with us with the e-printables course?
I did, yes.
Yes. Did you have an Etsy shop or an online business background prior to that?
Not really. I had started my Etsy shop prior to getting the course and went into it thinking, oh, I can make stuff out of Excel and use the Microsoft files. And I had no clue what I was doing. So, for practical purposes, you guys were the starting point for me actually figuring things out.
I think we've all been through that where we think we're going to sell one thing and then you end up selling in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But now the happy ending or amazing middle, however you want to look at it, you have almost 1,500 sales in your Etsy shop. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And now you're ready to move on to the next kind of chapter in your online business journey. So in your mind, what made it so that you wanted to go from, okay, I'm selling printables, I'm starting to get sales, I'm doing pretty well. I mean, 1,500 sales is you're going on a good bout here. What made you say, oh, well, I want to build a bigger business around this?
When I got into this, I originally did so because I eventually wanted it to replace my full time income. I came home a little over 2 years ago, right as we were about to get licensed for foster care, just knowing that I would need to at that point. So we lost that income, and it would be nice to have that income. So that was kind of going into this. And I know there are Etsy sellers that can do that, but I wanted to expand into a couple different areas for myself. I'm one of those people that I always need a challenge. I need something new to focus and work on. So I started the blog up probably about 6 months ago now, and then hoping to get a course launched soon as well, along with the planner that I just launched.
Awesome. So that's exciting. So in terms of your background, I know so you're fostering. Also, do you plan on homeschooling as well? I saw a couple homeschool type products in your Etsy shop, and I was just curious if you identify in that niche.
So I've played with the idea. I honestly don't think we will be a homeschool family, though, just knowing my personality. My background full time was in higher education admissions. I was there for just shy of 11 years, and I saw a lot of homeschool families come through that would send me transcripts, and they would be something that we just couldn't use as a university. So that's kind of what got me thinking, oh, I could make that for them. I can make what a university needs to see on a transcript and make sure it has a spot for the signature and make sure all of these are added in such a way. So that got me started into the homeschool area. And then I added a couple other tools in there as well that I thought homeschool parents might be able to use. And they are some of my best sellers, honestly.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering that because I saw so many of your sales kind of were coming from that space or a religious space as well. I know you also sell in that area. Do you identify in that community? Is that something that you want to explore? Because right now, what I'm hearing is time management for parents is one niche, but then you do have these other niches that are working. So I'm just curious what made you feel like not those, not those.
I never really thought about going into the religious space beyond kind of what I have in there. I do have a Christian background. We do attend a local church and all those things. So I put things in there that I think other local churches could use, whether it's for Sunday school or baptism certificates, things like that. I have some dedication certificates in there as well. But I wouldn't really know where to go past that, I guess. So I never really considered it. So
Okay.
time
Yeah.
management is my happy place.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I just bring this up because I think a lot of people can relate to, okay, you created an Etsy shop and we advocate through Gold City Ventures, sell in a bunch of different niches and see
Yep.
what sticks. And that because we've seen a lot of people go through this and they are making the most sales when they are not niching down. For the most part, because most people are multi-passionate, they're part of different communities, and or they can't, the first niche that comes in their head is not the one that's going to work. So if they kind of sell all over the place, then they're going to make the most sales. But
Mhm.
then when we're thinking about moving beyond Etsy, it's important to kind of build a business in a niche
Yeah,
beyond. So I was just kind of curious what you were thinking as you were going through. And it sounds like your passion, and you're also in the prime demographic yourself. So you probably can understand what a
helpful.
busy mom who's trying to do all this faces.
Mhm.
So when you were first kind of going through researching your target demographic avatars, I know in Beyond we did a couple exercises on social. Like, did you find any major highlights of the direction that you wanted to go in terms of like, oh, I found, a competitor who also has done this and made X amount of money or different things?
I actually had a lot of trouble finding competitors on social media, and that could be honestly, I have no clue how to deal with social media. So it's definitely not my strength. I know there's a couple out there that focus on time management and organization, but I couldn't find any that have enough followers based on what the goal was. So 50,000 plus followers. So I really struggled with that. Um, I actually settled on the goal for this niche over a year ago. I had signed up for another program that I ended up not making my way through, but that's kind of where I had settled in. I want to work on time management and moms that are building their businesses because I am in the thick of it and I know it's something that moms need. And back in my full time work life, I was known as the manager that I'm there to get you organized if you cannot get yourself organized. We had a lot of hats we wore in that admissions position, and I was the one that people would go to for time management issues. So I already have that background, and I just wanted to translate it to how I can be helping people now.
Okay, I love that, and I mean I can relate to it too. In online business, I have a bunch of different things. We were just talking before this of how you're kind of going from one kid thing to the next, and
Mhm.
I describe it to my husband like when I sit down at my desk, I just kind of freak out and I have to get stuff done because I know this is the only time that I have. Like,
Yeah.
there's no like waste. I'm sure there are people that one struggle they have is they get lost. And of course, I can get lost if I pick up my phone for a second to read a text message. Next thing you know, I'm scrolling and I'm like, what just happened? I only had 25 minutes and I just waste 12 of them on TikTok or Instagram or
Yeah.
whatever. So I can relate to that. But also, I can relate to like, I have very specific times and I have to get stuff done during that time or I just can't as a busy mom. So I feel like you hit the nail on the head. So, one question I have as a marketing person and someone that how much I love eRank and all these tools, trends tools. I love it so much. Um, I see some trends in this space that I kind of want to like discuss with you to see your thoughts on this
Okay.
because the time management for moms, it could be like it could change how you want to maybe market things or to a different segment. I'm seeing a different movement right now. Like, so there's time management for moms. A lot of us have this issue. There's the ADHD mom community, which I
Mhm.
don't know if you have been following in our Facebook group. There are people that are selling ADHD planners and different
Yeah.
things, and there has been a surge over since the pandemic of adult women diagnosed with ADHD or realizing they suddenly have ADHD, and it's been like a
Mhm.
huge thing. So that's like things that people are searching for. So it doesn't mean that you have to change anything about what you're doing. It's just like, how are you labeling it? And these things may not appeal to you or they may appeal to you. I don't know. But just kind of mentioning these things of like, okay, yeah, I saw that, but I feel like mine's different or whatever.
Mhm.
So that's the first one. Were you seeing that happening in our VIP printables group too? And like, do you consider that part of what you're doing or like, no, it's not really quite that?
I hadn't seen those particular posts. I know I have seen a lot of the ADHD planners and checklists and things like that on eRing, and several several of the things in my shop are marked as that. I have seen this discussion was a long time ago, probably. Um, Discussion around how the ADHD planners aren't necessarily, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. With ADHD, you have to find what works for you, is the thing. So those things tend to be extremely detailed, and mine are as well, but I haven't necessarily labeled it. So if I look at the planner that I just launched on my site, it would probably fit under that ADHD category just because it has so many focused things in it. But I have them more geared and marketed for mompreneurs specifically over the ADHD because if I had just a random mom from down the street, not a business owner that has ADHD, that's great. She could use the planner, but there are aspects of that planner that aren't necessarily going to do her any good whatsoever as a result. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes. Okay. So it's definitely it's more business, online business focused than like lifestyle, organization, home, household. Okay. Got it. So another idea, just to as we're having this discussion of like things, brainstorming, other trends. So sometimes like software trends are really big in the online business space where entrepreneurs kind of hitch onto a software that is hot right now.
Okay.
And in the time management organization space, I'm thinking of like Airtable a couple years ago. Everyone was talking about Airtable. People still use it. It's kind of like a workflow tool. There's obviously
Trello
Notion,
almost.
Trello. There's a lot of Trello people. Trello, how I feel about this, I feel like in terms of like the rise and the crest of trends, the Trello was big a few years ago.
Mhm.
I do feel like AI has kind of become the new thing since last year, where if you were trying to convince someone of like, hey, using this tool will help you, people think that AI is probably going to help them do things faster, whatever. So I wouldn't say necessarily to like hitch your wagon onto Trello, but it is, there are tools like this that are things. So I just am asking you in case you're like, oh yeah, like I use this all the time and blah blah blah, because sometimes the popularity of a software, you could be like the influencer for a software, and that is something that can bring people into your world who are searching of like, oh, this software is overwhelming, I know everyone loves it, but like how do I use it, how do I
Mhm.
use it as a everyday entrepreneur, whatever. Just curious your thoughts around any of those thoughts.
I have not used a lot of the softwares for like Trello, and I've never heard of the Airflow, to be honest. I tend to be very old fashioned when it comes to staying organized. I have my planner that's a old fashioned paper planner and all my colored pins that I use for it. And then I use my Google Calendar. So those are my primary ways. What I'll be focusing on for other forms of organization as far as software goes would be Excel and Google Sheets. I know a lot of people don't completely understand how to use them, but you can get a lot of templates out there. I create a lot of templates. I do custom Excels as well that people can utilize for organization, whether it is time management or inventory management or anything along those lines. So, and more people are, I think, likely to have access to things like Google Sheets and Excel versus a software program that you might have to buy a subscription for also. So,
Yes, and then that would change who you're going after, because
mhm.
um, I know when I've in the past tried to explore different softwares, the reaction from the community is often, I have to pay for this,
Yeah.
even if, I mean, you've seen in our group like the E-Rank Basic was $5 a month for a while, and it was
Mhm.
just mentally like people were like, I can't get over having to pay this, which I totally understand
But
because you're
I was
you know
there.
you don't want you're in the hole for a long time. I'm just curious, do you pay for it now?
I've paid for it since almost the beginning. I think it is for six. It's $5.99 a month for
Mm-hmm.
$6. That is one of the best tools I have, and
Yeah.
I think my overall expenses just for the software and whatnot every month, plus the listing fees and whatnot, are maybe $40. And I'm definitely making more than that in my Etsy shop. I have other expenses I've gotten since then that I am in the hole for now, just
Mm-hmm.
technology wise, as I'm trying to grow everything. But um, I think people underestimate how much more they can do if they pay a few extra dollars a month to get access to this. So things like Creative Fabrica or E-Rank, those are Canva Pro, especially as well. Those things are well worth those few dollars a month that you're going to be spending on them.
Yep. And yeah, that's I get it from both sides of where people are coming from. I personally am paying for them myself. But at this point, I obviously have a lot of businesses that are existing that have been ongoing for years. So I get why someone would be hesitant at the beginning. But I mention this because as we're talking about like if someone were to become a influencer related to a product. If you want to go for mass appeal, then you need to go for a free product, or a product where you can get the majority of the better features free. If you are going for one that is a paid software tool, you might be able to get a higher quality entrepreneur who will pay you more money. You might be able to
Mhm.
charge more, because they're just like more down the line in their business. But for what you're going for like the online business kind of mom getting started, getting her business going, any type of software fee probably would be a little cost prohibitive, because I'm guessing that's who you're going for, basically like the
Yeah,
target avatar of you like a year or two ago when you were getting going.
basically. Yeah. So I would rather keep things, I don't want to say more simple necessarily, but for lack of better words, more easy to ease into, I suppose. So as I'm thinking about the courses and things like that, I'm trying to keep that in mind. Like, how much should I sell this course for that has all these great tools in it, but it's mom that's just starting out. She might not want to put in X amount of dollars for this. So that is definitely something that's in the back of my head for this.
100%. And also, I mean, I'm curious to hear as you're going. I'm asking you a lot of questions because I'm just trying to figure out like what your plan is, and then we can
Mhm.
discuss kind of where you might be able to go. But for this particular kind of target demographic, and also your distribution, are you planning on creating your own lead source? Like, I know in Beyond we will teach you either going the blogging path or the social media path, or are you like, actually, I'm just going to partner with other influencers because I don't really want to be my own brand? Like, I guess, are you planning on becoming your own brand with either blogging or social?
I do want to. I think I'll be more on the blogging side. I did the 30-day social media challenge. And I feel like I got absolutely nowhere with it. I think I got an extra like dozen or so followers between Instagram and Facebook. I do want to grow a Facebook group. That's where I'm more comfortable. My knowledge of Instagram is limited to the macro barista who posts calorie friendly Starbucks recipes, basically. I don't know anything about Instagram. I've never been on TikTok. It's just not who I am. So I basically decided I'm not going to change who I am just to meet this demographic. My moms are probably going to be on Facebook anyways. That's where you can find more groups and more community. And that's where I want to have the focus. And then I have the blog, which is slowly growing, and an email list that is actually growing from Etsy more than anything else right now. But hopefully, I'll be able to translate some of those into my niche area.
Got it. And yeah, I want to mention that for anyone out there, definitely you need to have some sort of traffic source. There's no way around this, but there are different options that you have. So becoming a social media influencer is really not for everyone. I find it difficult as a mom to make that happen for me. So my businesses don't grow necessarily through giant social accounts. I guess if someone sees my social, they might be like, "Oh, you have 15,000 followers or whatever." Yes, but I could have. I mean, there's people who have equivalent businesses to mine that have 200,000 followers and they're posting all the time. It's just not something I look at them like, how do you guys do this? It's
Mhm.
really difficult to, do this every single day, right? So I feel like the Facebook group approach could be really good if your target demographic is on Facebook. And for anyone listening, what I love about it is that Facebook will suggest the right people to you once you start getting a certain people in the group. If you name it appropriately, it's going to start suggesting people to you, and you can gate with questions to get better quality people in there, and then also you can scrape the email address. And there's certain tools that, I mean, if the group, I've managed a group like this that had 300,000 people,
Mhm.
and they were like, actually they're being, it was just for women, and they were only approving women into the group. And then what they would do is they would take all the email addresses, and there's certain tools you can use. You can just keep running it every single
Mhm.
day. But I mean, Facebook can really like, they Facebook suggested all 300,000 of those people to them. And they have a huge list. That being said, I don't want to make this sound like amazing though, because sometimes these lists from Facebook, like who knows the quality of the list? And by quality, I mean like, is this customer ready to buy? Are they your target customer? How did they even get
Yeah.
here? Um, for some people, the switch between, oh, I was on a Facebook group and now you're emailing me, even if they gave you the email, they're like, what? Huh? Like, how? Why are you emailing me? Or they could hit spam, which could affect your deliverability. There's a lot of things that could happen. But I'm just curious. The Facebook group setup actually is not that long. Is that on your roadmap? Like, are you like, hey, I'm gonna, because you have the product, right? But you got to
Yep.
sell it. So how are you gonna get those people?
I do have the group set up. I just haven't done anything more than the setup. So I haven't named President Profitable Mompreneurs. So that's going to be kind of my, I want to say, I guess, tagline for lack of better terms. So moms that really want to be profitable in their business, obviously, they want to grow the second income stream. They want financial freedom and everything, but they also want to be present at home for their family. And I mean, you're there, you know, it's hard. So those are the moms I'm hoping to pull in there. So I don't know how to get them in there, I guess. So I have my lead magnet set up that is a take back your time worksheet that is basically a time audit. So you go through, the idea is you would go through it for 3 days to see exactly where you're spending your time, just kind of as a knowledge based thing. And then there's a couple other things in that lead magnet as well, but the lead magnet will hopefully push them over to the Facebook page. And then the Facebook page will hopefully be pushing everyone to the blog and the website where I have the planner listed. I've been trying to figure out how to get it onto Etsy. And for the life of me, I cannot figure it out because it is print on demand, which is a whole new world for me. So that's another fun learning curve that has been thrown at me lately.
So what's the group? Is it present and presentable? You said what's the second one?
Present
Present
and
and
profitable.
profitable. Present and profitable. Okay. Hey, that's right. Put that on a t-shirt. That's how I think that's how we all kind of feel, right? I mean,
Mhm.
seriously, every single day at the end of the night, like I have my, recap with my husband where I'm like, "Oh, I feel like I did too much like towards the work or too much towards the other thing and didn't get enough work done." And it's like every single day, same
Down.
thing. So, yeah, I think we all can kind of relate to that. So, I like the name. Um, mompreneur, good or bad. I like being a mompreneur. I use that word.
Mm-hmm.
I do you understand the controversy around it? I guess like if you're like, yeah, I already know, I don't care. I'll be girl boss all day, right? But for whatever reason, a lot of people who are female entrepreneurs, they don't like that for some reason. It really bothers them, and they get all like, no. So, just a heads up, like you're gonna pick either you're gonna really pick your people, and if you're like, oh, I actually don't care whether I want the other person too that doesn't want to use the word mompreneur, you might want to consider that, because the biggest groups that I saw and the ones that I managed, they're like very basic names, like women's personal finance. That's not the group that I manage, but they're very very basic.
I know that mompreneurs doesn't have a lot of searches for it when I did SEO research on it. Um, so I know that. I didn't know there was a lot of controversy around it, but it doesn't particularly surprise me either. Um, I guess I don't know what else I could call it to make sure it's understood that the focus is for moms versus just female entrepreneurs, because I know that just women entrepreneurs, they could be single, early 20s, and they can still benefit from all of this. And I get that. But everyone says you need to niche down so much, so much. So that's where I ended up niching down to, was the moms building a business versus just women building business. So I guess I don't know how to really change that term necessarily to make sure it's still understood that this is really focused for moms versus just anyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have somewhat of like I agree with niche down, niche down, niche down. But as you know, with the E rank type personality, I'm like, okay, well, which one is where's the data behind it? Like, is there something about your product that's specifically for moms that will make a difference? Now that being said, I I mean, my favorite thing to do is to follow other moms who have businesses that are successful, because I find it gives me that extra like, yeah, if they can do it, I can do it. Like my new one, I love following Sarah Blakely. Do you know her, the Spanx founder?
I don't know, but I can look
Oh
her
my
up.
goodness. Get her on your vision board. She's got 4 kids, and I'm like, wow. I mean, a lot of her business growth happened before she had her kids. She had her kids later in life.
Mhm.
But I mean, I feel like her and her family, I like the husband too. I just like to follow them because I find them very inspirational. So, I guess what I'm saying is moms do seek out other moms. So
Yeah.
doubling down on the mom thing is helpful. But yeah, the mompreneur, like the SEO thing, I would do a little more research on that. Just
Okay.
because if the whole goal is you don't want to do social and you don't want to start the blog, then if we're relying on Facebook to send you the right leads, then it needs to work. So
I
what
do
I
have,
would do, you do have a blog.
yep, I do have the blog.
Okay. Okay. So cool. Okay, we're gonna get into that in a second. So with the mompreneur, did you find any other mompreneur Facebook groups that had a lot of people in them?
Um, there was one I joined that I haven't had a lot of luck getting in there. They took over a month to approve me. That's a massive, massive group. I think it's called like mom owned businesses or something. I want to say it's like mom owned businesses is what it is. So I know they're out there for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything using the term mompreneur?
no.
Okay, I think that's a good thing to if you were to find something with mompreneur,
Okay.
because a lot of people they feel like, oh, I don't want to. There's the I don't want to copy what else is out there or whatever, but you don't want to recreate the wheel either.
Yeah.
So if all of the large groups and large like I don't know 100,000 people or something, 50,000 people,
Mhm.
if they all are not using the term mompreneur and nobody's using mompreneur, I feel like that's a bad sign for Facebook
Yeah.
because no one's typing in mompreneur unless if you don't care and you're going to create your own social profile or you're really going to focus on the blog, then that's fine. But if you're like, oh, my lead source is going to be from the Facebook groups, you got to play the Facebook SEO game.
And that
And
makes sense.
yeah, and generic may be boring, but the people that like the group that I help to manage, and I've seen other people who have groups, their Facebook group name is very boring, but the actual like brand when you log in and the cover group and everything is their actual business name. So your business name could be different, but the Facebook group you got to really be generic so that Facebook knows who to send your way. And
That makes
then
sense.
in terms of like I don't want to make it sound like you can't have no social profile though, because you're probably going to need something
Yeah.
because it'll be faster if you can collaborate with other people
Hmm.
and tell them your journey. So like you're fostering. There's got to be foster mom podcast, foster mom YouTube, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, could they feature you about your journey, and then you get on, you're like, yeah, like I've been doing this. I'm also running a business, and everyone's like, I've been trying to do that, and then that's kind of how you're going to get your first
Okay.
kickstart.
That makes
Have
sense.
you tried to think about people that you might collaborate with in that way?
Not specifically. I've considered collaborations before. I guess I just don't know where to start with it, how to reach out to people. I know um, when I was designing my client avatar originally, I put in there minimalist, and I'm not a bare bones minimalist for sure. I mean, you can see a ton of photos on the wall back there. I am not a black and white and three pieces of cutlery kind of a deal. But I've followed Joshua Becker and the Minimal Mom for a long time. So those are kind of some of the areas I had thought, well, maybe I can find other moms that are interested in this and this type of aspect. So I've considered that. I had reached out to Year Cheer, which is a subscription box, to see if I could be an affiliate for that, and never heard back from them. So it's just kind of a, well, if no one's ever going to reach back out because I don't have any enough of a following, because I don't at this point, then you know what I mean?
I do. I will tell you, that's kind of like the number one thing I see with new entrepreneurs. They just don't. It's like a numbers game, and they don't pitch enough. It's like Etsy reviews. You know, you only get 1% of people leave a review, and you're like, oh, it's so frustrating. I got to get so many sales before I get my first review. It's like that. So we have this client. Actually, today is her book launch. It's called She Closes Deals. She's a mom, former teacher who has 100 million in real estate sales now. She's a realtor, and I was pitching her to be on podcasts. And her story is like truly amazing. And she has 26,000 followers on Instagram. Her
Mm-hmm.
name's Brooke Coughlin. And I had to pitch like 150 people. So every day I pitched like 10 people for like a couple weeks. And I only got, X amount of hits back. I think maybe she got like 10 podcasts back. But so what I'm trying to say is like even somebody that has like a high following and this flashy story and all this stuff, like they're just not going to get responses. And I know this because this is my second podcast. It's just because you're busy and all of a sudden a random email comes in that you're like, what? So
This is person.
yes, who is this person? Exactly. So you try to experiment with different subject lines and ways to make your story sound cool and all that, and having something on social. So because the risk of the host, you don't want to like waste your time. If you get down, you get childcare, you set up, and then the person's like go shoe or whatever. You're like, oh, that just totally wasted my time. So on their end, they're trying to protect their time and their brand and stuff too. So I would just encourage you, like you got to pitch a lot more. And I hear this just for a lot of new people, whether they're trying to work with other people, they give up too early. They don't pitch a second time. So unfortunately you got to devote a lot of time to it. But I do like 10, I would do 10 pitches a day for like 2 weeks. But you have an interesting story. I feel like for the realtor, for example, she is a teacher, or she was a teacher. So obviously, like being on teacher podcasts about what she did after teaching is an interesting angle. So that's why I mentioned the fostering thing, because I'm sure there's other people who are like, oh yeah, like I've been trying to get my business going, and that could be a solution for them of like, hey, you can't do full-time hours anymore, but like here's a way that I'm on my journey and like I've hit, these revenue numbers, and this is something that you could maybe do. So
Okay.
just food
I
for
like that.
thoughts. That's one angle, beyond the Facebook group SEO. And then the other angle, while I'm on this tear with ideas, is just, and I know Sasha she's at the Beyond head coach, and she's
Mhm.
a wealth of knowledge. She really likes to point people to the bundles, and I feel like in
Yeah.
your space, it's a good idea. Have you tried doing any of the bundles yet?
I had applied to one, and then I think through Mama Shark, and then they decided not to run that particular bundle. So she had recommended that to me as well, and I just started looking at it. I think early summer, um, and then everything else this summer kind of took over that. I think the other big issue I've been having lately is where to prioritize my time to grow. So it's like they say you're starting a blog, you need to get 20 posts up like immediately, overnight almost. And it's like, okay, well, that's like 3 to 4 hours a post once you add in the social media and the pins and the Insta and the SEO and all that kind of stuff. And then you're still trying to build the Etsy shop over here. And then I'm trying to get my planner finished so I can launch over here and find the print on demand option for the planner over here. So trying to figure that all out on top of actually seeing my child on occasion.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff has been its own struggle as well. So the bundles are definitely there. I am a member of a Facebook group that focuses on bundles, so I'm hoping to get into some of them soon. It's just not been the highest priority this summer, so it's a priority probably starting next month. I think is the goal.
So you don't have the product done yet?
I do. I
You
have
do.
it completed. I have one version of it completed, and I do have it on my website.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that you deserve big kudos because you're already way ahead of like 99% of the population here. Because most people, they're still in the like consuming phase, and you're in the creating phase. So,
That's
like
good.
for me, I think a lot of us, some of us could be reality TV junkies and do this, but like a lot of us, we like to unwind with kind of like learning new things. It's interesting to
Mhm.
us, consuming podcasts, consuming courses, whatever.
Yeah,
Now you're like, okay, I'm creating stuff. So at least the list of menu options that you have are all creation focused. So that's like a huge win.
okay.
Because usually I'll hear like, oh, people are like, oh, I want to finish this course, and then I started this course, and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, none of those things are you literally making anything, because it's not going to lead to money. It's just going to lead to spending money. So I'm so glad to hear like, okay, you got your priorities correct in that they're all revenue generating opportunities. And then it's just a matter of like, okay, which, things take certain time, like renaming your Facebook group something more generic to get more SEO juice going.
5 minutes.
Um, that's 5 minutes. Yeah. Some of the other stuff is more exhausting, like the blog. It's in Beyond, but to me, it sounds like maybe this isn't the highest ROI for you personally. And
Nice.
just, for those of you that, do you have a traffic or anything happening with the blog right now?
I don't know how to check, honestly. um, I know I haven't really gotten any legions for my email list off the blog for sure. So I don't think it has a lot of traffic, if any. I have been pinning when I post. So I'm hoping some of those pins will eventually generate some stuff.
Okay. And I mean, all that is good. I do have a blog that has brought a lot of traffic. Thing about blogging is that I haven't really posted anything new in years and years, and I was making $900 a month last time I checked on ad dollars, which is nice. But a couple things are going on right now. The blogging seas are choppy out there in those waters.
Yeah,
So
I've heard.
Google Google really did a number on us bloggers, and is prioritizing social media and their AI results, as well as like random other blogging platforms like Medium or Substack, more
Mhm.
than they are
Actual.
prioritizing actual blogs. So like if you're wondering, hey, should I start a blog right now? You still can rank, and a lot of us are still getting traffic, and the business is still getting leads from blogging. That being said, what I'm hearing from you in your busy life and other things you're doing, I don't think that's the highest ROI in your time. If you did want to do that, like you could create a Medium account, and you could create some sort of like blog post there, just,
Mhm.
a really good blog post about something that would eventually lead people to be interested in signing up for your newsletter or
Okay.
whatever, one or two. But I wouldn't go wild with, your existing blog, all the tech, all that
That makes
stuff.
me feel better. Thank you.
Yeah, you got a lot going on. But that being said, so you already have a website if someone were to look you up. The socials, you need something to look legit, and then the collaborations I think could be huge. I think Sasha's right about the bundles. Just unfortunately, also those are a matter of just pure numbers game.
Yeah.
So a lot you can get like 300 maybe followers, 300 subscribers a bundle,
Hmm.
or with summits you could also do a summit too, which is
Yeah.
really cool. But again, like one thing I want to mention, just keep everything on topic because you're looking to attract the mompreneur bout.
Hmm.
So if you start talking about random stuff, even though random stuff, it just might not attract your ideal follower. Because I think a lot of people, they're like, oh, I got 200 subscribers. They're like, yeah, but you gave a presentation on this, and now you're gonna try to sell them this unrelated thing.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
yeah, you would want your thing to be niched down, but like also like trendy enough that they look at it.
Okay.
So, okay. So I know that we talked about a lot here. I want to give you a chance to, like, if you have a question or two that you want to ask, like, is there anything that um, you're curious about or you would like to know?
I think the big thing for me, like I said, is just prioritizing and kind of where do I go from here is my next step. So um, I know I need the social stuff and I do have the accounts. I just am not particularly active in there. So I know I need to work on that. I've got the blog and I'll just shoot for maybe 2 posts a month at this point. So I know the email list is going to be a big thing. Um, I'm about to put the second planner on my site as well, which will just be an undated quarterly version of what I have up there right now. So what would you recommend? So of the things we've talked about, what is the number one thing I should be focused on right now, do you think?
I think you need people to follow you to purchase the product, or have other people be affiliates and sell the product for you. But I think validating that this group wants this product is important.
Okay.
Um, so you might want to check to make sure that before you create any more versions of this planner, that this planner is going to sell with your target customer, even if it's like two people. So the product, I would just say, like, it sounds like you're done. I wouldn't splice this product 100 different ways and spend more time on that. I would, consider this MVP first iteration, but like
Okay.
you got to start attracting and getting your following, even if it's just like 100 people or whatever. So, spending, like I said, the 10 minutes a day pitching your story to people that have audiences to follow you, to learn more about you. I think that would be huge because even if you don't have the product right, you get to keep the people on the journey with you.
Okay.
Um, so I'd focus on that. I'd rename the Facebook group pretty quickly because the mompreneur, like I said before, I identify with it, but people hate it. Like I've been in some groups where people are like, it's sexist because there's no, you call men entrepreneurs and you call women mompreneurs and blah blah blah. The reason I am all about it is because I'm like, it is so much
It's
harder for
a
me. It's
world.
so much harder for me to do this. Like even just, I tell this to Cody every day. He's like my therapist, where like I'm like trying to talk to him, and there's like a screaming kid in the background, and there's
Mhm.
just like it just not the same. It's really not the same, and like it just
Yeah.
isn't. So I don't mind using a different word. I use it as like a badge. But that being said, I get where people are coming from, where they're like, it's not fair that we have to have this whole other term. Why don't you just call us entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Fine.
That makes
So
sense.
I would not pick a controversial. It's kind of like, people feel strongly about it. It's like picking a political thing, a statement right now. Let's just like don't limit. Before you have any subscribers, I probably wouldn't limit your reach by
Okay.
picking
That
a
makes sense.
controversial. If you don't, unless you like, oh no, this is so important to me. It sounds like you don't really care. You just use that term. So I'd pick a less controversial term.
Um,
And
but I think
just keep doing what you're doing, like prioritizing revenue generating activities, because I think it can get easy to get bogged down in things that are not good. So forget about the blogging.
okay.
I think that's distracting right now. And in things trying to rank and stuff is more of the long game. So I just feel like that's not a good move for you. And then the collaborations with people in the space, bundles, because what's going to happen, like once you get in these bundles and you get on summits and things, and there's tons of this, you're not talking to me like, oh, I'm like a puppeteer or something random. Like online business, female business owners, like this is what we do. We do summits, we do bundles, we do all that. There's tons out there. You might do those and then you'll see what is working for other people, what products they're selling and stuff. And then you might be like, this planner is it or this planner is not it. But at least like you're not wasting any time because you're developing the audience, you're developing the network, you're getting to know people. Because it's all this is like work where like it's 90% who you know a lot too.
Yeah.
Who the winners and the losers are in online business. Like the people that know the most people tend to be more the winners than the people, unfortunately, that are trying to go it alone.
Yeah. That
So
makes
it's important
sense.
network.
That
Yeah.
does make sense. And I think that's something that I have learned from the beginning of all of this was ask for help. I think that's one of the things I loved most about the Etsy course was not so much the course, which is great. I learned a lot from that, but the community aspect of it, I feel like I've learned so much from, and trying not to just do it all on my own has made a big difference there. So,
Well, thank you for saying that. It's the community is I love our community. It's tough because people coming in like we're talking about people complaining about the $5 e-rank fee, 5.99. The Facebook group being $29 a month is like a huge thing. But we always tell people we're like, no, but if you don't pay for this and we just let anyone in, it's going to be a dumpster fire like the other Etsy Facebook groups. Like this is at least it's curated. Everyone in there's paying, so they're like taking it very seriously. We pay
mhm.
coaches so we can pay a staff to like actually answer your questions. They know what they're doing instead of like random people that have no qualifications you don't know. So there's a whole reason. And then when you get to 100 sales, it's free. So we try to tell people like, okay, just hang on, it's going to be worth it. You got in the 100 sales club, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
So I, I, I had not realized, I guess, I missed the memo that it eventually becomes free and you got prorated.
Oh,
Sales club. So that was a very exciting moment for me. I'm like, oh, okay, I can still be in here. I don't have to worry about this as much anymore.
yes, I 100%. Yeah, because sometimes people they leave and then they come back. But if you leave and come back, we don't let you in the 100 sales club. And people are like, oh, we're trying to do this. We're not trying to do that. We promise. It's just if we didn't make people come stay in there, they wouldn't, right? So it's like human nature. We're just trying to set it up like a challenge to kind of keep everybody moving and hit their goals. So I think it ultimately works. And I mean, I think we are churning out 100 sales club members left and right because of
I've
that.
seen a lot of them lately.
Yeah, there's been a lot. You see them actually this summer. It's been surprising because usually you see them after the holidays. So usually there's like the post Valentine's Day 100 Sales Club group, and then there's like the Halloween. So we always have to tell our admin. We have two people that help approve people in the group and do different things. I'm like, you got to be ready for the storm of the post holiday 100 Sales Club and all those people. So,
I've seen a
anyways,
bunch lately that have been like way past 100 sales club. It's like, okay, who's making more than 1,000 a month out of this? And I see people posting 3 or 4,000 a month. I'm like, okay, well, that's encouraging. I can actually get there. There's someone that's doing that. So
yes, and
even that
it is.
too.
I mean, so that I'm glad I want to end on this because here's the thing, like, and this is, I don't want to give you a rosy answer where, okay, you can just prioritize this thing because what I've seen for some of our top Etsy sellers, when they try to start something new, then they are not spending the time they have on their Etsy shop. So the Etsy
Mhm.
shop sales either go down or they don't continue to grow. And then they
Yeah.
get frustrated and they're like, oh, like I can't make any money like I used to on Etsy. And it's like, well, this is just the nature of the beast. Like it happened to me, right? Like before I did all this, I only had the swag elephant that I was like focusing all my time on. And now I have two. We just talked about my second membership that I just started, right? So
Mhm.
your time gets like very spliced, and particularly as a mom, it's tough. So I
Yeah.
would though encourage you to like not lose your sight on the ball or whatever they call it, eye on the ball for your Etsy shop because
Mhm.
that can fund the rest of your ventures. Because these ventures, like you might want a new software, or you might want something X, Y, and Z that costs money, and if you can have the money coming in from your Etsy shop, that can help fund this other stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't completely, you might say like, oh, well, I have a bigger goal, but I wouldn't lose total sight on that. But maybe you can kill two birds in one stone. Like maybe you can, before when you're looking at products, you're looking at what product has the highest search volume and lowest competition and whatever. But maybe you can say, okay, I'm going to start with my target avatar in mind. I'm only going to buy products for like female business owners. I'm only going to make those products even if there's another product that's better because you can start to like attract them because you said you're getting some leads from Etsy on your email list. I feel
I
like that could be a
am.
way. You could start priming your lead flow with that. Maybe that's the best way
Okay.
to do it.
I'll look into that for sure. So I'm definitely not leaving Etsy behind. I've been posting Halloween like crazy lately. So
Good, good. I
definitely.
know I keep getting all these ads and I'm like I'm all here for it, but it makes me stress on the Etsy side because I'm like I got to get on there and start posting the listings because it's the early bird gets the worm sometimes with things like Halloween. So I want to get my stuff up too, but
Halloween starts in August or early September. So I'm like, I
it's
get them up.
Every year it's earlier and earlier, and I'm excited to decorate earlier too. Like once summer is past, I'm like ready. I'm like let's do it. So I get it, but it's frustrating as a business owner because you just feel like you just settled into summer and it's like got to get going.
I know the Lowe's here already has the Halloween monsters out, so
Yeah,
much to my son's dismay.
and the candy, I'm like what?
Like, I'm not ready for this. Let me get to school, start to school first, and then we
Yeah,
can talk about
exactly.
Halloween.
Exactly. Okay. Well, Stephanie, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your story. Hopefully, we have some good ideas for you and how to, take this business to the next level. Rooting you on. And if anyone wants to check out this amazing planner, because I think that you are the target avatar for a lot of people listening to, like we're all online business moms trying to make it all happen. Can you talk about where to find the planner, where to find you, and also like give us a couple features of like, okay, this planner will help you do X, Y, Z.
Okay. So you can find it on my website and blog, which is thebusymamabee.com. Right now, the planner on there is dated for July through June, just based on the time of year. So there will be an undated quarterly one coming up, and then I'll obviously have the New Year one up too. Uh, the thing about this planner is I'm a planner junkie, and I could not find a planner that had everything I needed in it to save my life. So the big things with this one, it is very goal focused. There's a good section in the front that is set up to be not just where do I want my business to be this year, but okay, where do I want my business to be in 3 to 5 years, and then break it down. What do I need to do this coming year to focus on internet marketing, or PR and sales, or with my team, or XYZ, whatever the case is. So it breaks all that down. It also has a section in there for your personal and family life, goal setting as well. And then the planner itself has your monthly view, which every planner does. I know that. It does have quarterly checks for your goals. And then the dailies is what I was really excited for, because this is what I missed in other planners. The dailies go from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. because we're moms. We work weird hours. You work when you can. My alarm gets set at 4:30 sometimes because that's the time I need to work. And I would love to be able to put in there what I want to focus on during this time, because I'm big on time blocking. It also has a recap in there daily. So, what was good about today? What did I contribute to? How much water did I drink? Did I actually move and do something for myself? Because that's another big aspect of Busy Mama Bee, is having time for you, because that's important to avoid burnout. And then there are weekly recaps in there as well, with habit trackers and what do I need to focus on this week? For work? What do I need to focus on for my family? What was the best thing about this week? What was something that I want to remember? Things like that. So I had a lot of fun creating it. So I'm excited that it's finally up and it is on the site again. It's thebusymamabee.com. So
So I love hearing this, and I have two questions for you now that you're doing the features. I know we're going to end, but then I'm like, I tell you this. First thing, when you said a team, does someone have to be an established? Because most people don't have teams. Most people don't even have VAs. Do you
yeah,
have to have a team? Is this for like you got to be more, or could someone who doesn't even have a team yet, like would this planner work for them?
this would definitely still work. So that's just one of the goals that are listed. I think I have like eight eight or I have to look at it, 8, 9, or 10 different separate areas of business. So I just wanted to be sure you can build a specific goal and list what the goal is, what your deadline for that goal is, what the obstacles are, and how are you going to do it for all these different areas of business that people aren't typically thinking about. Because you can say, yeah, I want to make $1,000 a month for my Etsy shop. Awesome, great. How are you going to do it? What types of obstacles are you going to run into? What areas of your business do you need to focus on to make that happen? So the team one is just honestly, one section of it. So
Got
there's
it.
a lot of other options that would apply. So internet marketing, you want to get on social and start doing this or that or whatever.
Got
So
it. Have you looked into the That Girl TikTok trend at all?
no, I have not. I've never been on TikTok, so I know nothing about
Okay, so the reason I bring this up is because, looking at how other people have sold planners successfully and how they become things. Because all of a sudden, I started seeing on Etsy keywords for that girl planner, and like people were making a lot of money selling these. I'm like, what is this?
it.
And
Okay.
apparently, there's this thing of like someone being that girl, like that organized girl. I don't really understand it, to be honest. But I'm just trying to think of ways that you might look at how other people sell planners and have made because obviously your goal, you said, is you want to replace the income that you lost when you had to leave your job. So you got to look at people that are really successful with selling their planners, and how they're doing it. Or like, even Erin Condren, like how did she become a thing, right? Like
Mhm.
the history of how some of these planner people became things might be a good idea for you. And then also like, just this is, I know this seems like, okay, you're already overloaded. Now you gotta do more research. People don't always love that, but like, this is truly how I do it. Like this is how I've been successful in business. I spend a lot of time researching, and I've noticed in the planner space, and you mentioned you were scrapbooking, like YouTube, people tend to watch YouTube videos. So that's another place.
Mhm.
You're not a TikToker, but you can look at YouTube and
Okay.
kind of see what might be big. But I was just thinking of that as you were talking about it. And then the last thing I want to leave you with. Okay, so we talked about your personal brand, like you maybe doing one Medium post. What I think would be really powerful, and like honestly, if we could redo this podcast again, like let's say that you want everybody in this podcast to buy your planner, right?
Mhm.
If you started it with like, hey, I am an Etsy seller making, who has 1,500 sales. I'm making like $800. I'm making this up. I don't know how much money you make on Etsy, but you're making $800 a month on Etsy. I've used this planner every single day for the last 30 days. Like I made this because I'm busy. I'm fostering. I made this. I've used it every day for the last 30 days. And like my productivity is like out the roof. And now I've increased from $800 a month to $1,200 a month on Etsy or whatever. I feel like that story is like, you got to tell that story. You got to have like, why this planner? What will they get out of it? And you don't have any testimonials, so you're the first testimonial. So I wanted to leave you with that of like, because I said write one blog post. Obviously, you're going to learn a lot from using the planner for 30 days, but it'll help you produce all the content to make it interesting. And then when you do get on those podcasts that we talked about, you you have like a story that leads to why you should sell the planner, if that makes sense, or
It
why
does.
they should buy it.
Oh, I'm waiting for my official proof copy to come in right now. So as
Yeah,
soon as
and then you'll
I
have the
decide to
visual.
transfer over to from the one I use.
And then you'll have the visual, so it'll be awesome.
Excited for
So
it.
yeah, I would. And then when on this podcast, you could be like, hey, I have it right here. Like I literally had your podcast circled here, and people be like, oh, like I get it now.
Yeah.
I want to be organized like her. So anyways, well, I'll let you go. I'll let you go. This podcast is way over. It was gonna be 25 minutes. But I always do this. So thank you so much, Stephanie. I look forward to seeing you around in the Beyond group. And really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. I like that.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.